Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to be looking into today is what was unsolved for many years I guess it is solved now. It is the murder of Sherry Black. It has recently in the case had an arrest, and there have been more developments since, so let's just get into it. This case was suggested by Ted, so thank you for that. I appreciate any suggestions you guys have, and of course if you have any more, please do let me know. So, Sherry Black lived with her husband, Earl, in Salt Lake City. They had kids, and she had this passion about books. It was a massive dream of hers. She absolutely loved them, and she really wanted to open a bookstore, which she did end up doing. She married Earl in 1965. They'd been together, very many years at that point. They were totally in love. She enjoyed being a mother, a wife, it was just, she just loved her normal family life. I'm not entirely sure how many children she had. I know she had a daughter called Heidi. I'm not specific on the details of whether she had more children than that, but her children had grown up. She had done all the family life. They'd grown up. They'd left the coop, full on the coop, I guess, and were living their own lives. And so this is when Sherry and Earl decided to focus more on opening the bookstore dream, which is what they wanted to do. It was called B&W Billy Dunn Books, and they filled it up. They filled it up with first editions. They had expensive books in there. I believe they kept those in like a secure area, maybe in a safe or something like that. So they had a lot of books in there, and some of them were worth quite a lot of money. And they opened the store and they just began selling books, and they absolutely loved it. It actually specialized in rare and religious texts, and it was located in Salt Lake, Utah, right next to Sherry and Earl's home. And everything was going brilliantly. At this point, Sherry was in her 60s. She was sort of not retired, but I guess some people do retire and then open something like a little store where they carry on. So she was just slowing down and enjoying having this bookstore and just a normal life. Earl would set up like a side thing where he would do up old pool tables, and again the pair were just loving everything they were doing, and everything was going really well. Then on the 30th of November in 2010, Heidi had tried to get hold of her mother Sherry and could not. This was in the morning, they tried all morning ringing her, things like that, but she never answered and there was never any response back. Later that afternoon, her husband Earl went to the store and he discovered a horrific discovery in the back storeroom. Sherry Black had been murdered. She was 64 years old at the time. She had been brutally beaten and stabbed to death. And I can't even imagine coming across that scene when you're just going in a bookstore and expecting to find your wife there. He walks in, everything's really quiet, which is not abnormal for a bookstore really. So he didn't really think anything was the matter, and then he goes into the storeroom and finds that, and it must have been absolutely horrific. So obviously he called the police straight away. When they got there, even they were pretty shocked by the scene that they came across by all accounts, and they couldn't really rule out a robbery. As I've already said, they had a lot of books and valuables and things in there, and there was that many of them that it was really hard to keep track of. All of the cash was still in the register. They still had those, expensive books in the back of the store in that safe area, but they had a lot of other books that were worth money that somebody could have probably taken and maybe might not have been noticed, if you know what I mean. So they couldn't rule out robbery as a motive, but they also couldn't say that that was the focal point because all the money was still in the till and things like that. So the police do their investigation, and they did find quite a lot of evidence at the scene. They found the perpetrator's blood. They found a partial fingerprint along with a partial palm print. They ran those through the database. They found out that the blood was from a male, but when they did run it all through the database, nothing came back as a match. So obviously whomever this was not actually in their criminal system yet, or didn't have their DNA in there or the fingerprints or anything like that. They also found this Armani exchange belt at the crime scene. It didn't belong to any of Sherry's family members. It was for a waist that measured about 36 to 38 inches and there was a sticker on the back of the buckle with the number 323 on it. An autopsy revealed that Sherry really did put up a fight, but ultimately was basically overpowered by her attacker, and then she was killed. They didn't really know a motive behind it. Again, they couldn't rule out robbery, but they couldn't say that that was the motive towards it. It was just strange, and it seemed like whoever had done this attack hadn't planned it or anything like that. This is what the police thought, at least. Nobody could really fathom as to why this attack happened to Sherry and why she was killed. So the police carried on looking into the case. Obviously, they investigated lots of people. They spoke to all these different people. They ruled out her entire family of suspects off the suspect list, sorry. But it just didn't seem to get anywhere. You know, the investigation didn't really lead anywhere. They looked into all these different things, but they just couldn't really find anything. I mean, they had all this DNA and all of these fingerprints, and yet the problem with that is if they don't have that person in the database already, it's useless until that person then comes into the database, if you know what I mean. So it's just such a frustrating case. There was a lot of theories into it. There was like, you know, a lot of people suspect the husband straight away. Again, he was ruled out, so the police did rule him out. But there were theories flying around about him. There were theories flying around about a robbery motive. There was just so many sort of ideas as to what it could be, but nobody really knew. And again, over the years, they kept running the prints, they kept running the DNA, and they just didn't find anything. Her case ran cold over the years, and then in 2017, the police decided to take this DNA and do this process on it. It's something called phenotyping, and it's where they use data from, I'm guessing, the DNA to predict what this person may have looked like, kind of thing. This picture was published, it was put out into the public's eye to see if it sparked anything. And there was also a reward put up for any information regarding Sherry's case. Everyone was just trying to do everything they could to try and solve this murder. Obviously, this was 7 years past now, and they were just no closer to solving it. And then, in 2020, they found a new lead that broke open the case. On the 10th of October in 2020, the news broke that the police had actually arrested a suspect with regard to Sherry's case. He was 29-year-old Adam Durborough. He was being held in jail without bail for aggravated burglary and aggravated murder charges. It was stated in the affidavit that they had obtained DNA from him and it matched the killer of Sherry. The next day they arrested him, and then apparently he did actually confess to Sherry's murder. Apparently Adam had been in trouble with the law before for shoplifting, but obviously not enough to have his DNA in the system. I don't know how they got onto him as a suspect at all, whether the public revealed him to someone or the police. I don't know how they got onto him to get his DNA, but they did, and we're all thankful for that because now they have caught him. On the 4th of October in 2021, there was another article that came out that basically said that he had pled guilty to aggravated murder. So he has admitted his guilt. We are still waiting for his sentencing. He's more than likely, it's estimated more than likely that he will get either 25 years to life or basically life without parole. So, you know, we have to wait on that. But it seems that after all of this time, Sherry's case has finally been solved. We still do not know the motive, which I am very interested to find out. And I hope that he gives motive. The police have not given any indication as to his motive whatsoever yet. But I wonder why. Like, what is his reason for doing this? Not that giving a reason justifies it in any way. I'm not trying to say that. But I don't know. She was a 64-year-old woman in a bookstore, just living a normal life. Why? Why did he come in and murder her? Was it burglary and then he just killed her? Was it something else? I'm really interested to find that out. But I'm just so glad that he's finally been caught after 10, 11 years of Sherry's family not knowing who killed, you know, the wife, the mother. It's just absolutely horrific. I'm just so thankful that he is now behind bars and that he will get the justice that he deserves for what he did to Sherry. And I hope that they get the answers that they're looking for too. They probably want to know why he did this as well. You know, they finally got their answer as to who did it. They just probably want to now know the why. Whether they will ever get that, you know, some people don't reveal it, but I just truly hope that they do. Obviously, my heart goes out to her family, but yeah, that is the end of the case. I will keep you updated, maybe, if he does give him a motive, because, again, I'm very interested, so I will keep looking into this case. So yeah, but that's the end of it. If you guys have enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for similar content. Anyway, that's all I have today on the case of Sherry Black. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.